ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's time for What Do You Call It? Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of What Do You Call It? Podcast. I'm your host, GB, and I'm back with another guest. And this guest is the man who solved the world. He's the final gladiator and dream crusher. Please give it up for Idol Heinze. How you doing today, mate? You all right?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. As I stated before we started. I can hear you. As I said before we start recording, I'm happy. Arsenal won 6-0, so I cannot complain at all. And I get to talk to you for the next 30, 40 minutes, so it should be a laugh. Hope you're doing well today. To kickstart the show, I'd like to go back to the beginning and ask you, how did you discover professional wrestling?
My mom told me that it was when I was 3, as long as I can remember. I remember getting up on, Saturdays and Sundays and watching, Wrestling Challenge and Superstars and on Saturday and Sunday. And I'd stay up late night on Fridays and watch on Saturday, I guess, and watch the Saturday night main event.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just been hooked ever since. Kids my age wanted to grow up and, be like Deion Sanders and Michael Jordan. I just wanted to be Bruiser Brody.
Oh, fair play. So may have starts with my next question. I was going to ask, did you have any favorites growing up? Bruiser Brody, I assume, was one of them. But did you have any other favorites?
I did. The way I watched wrestling really was backwards. I'd watch all the Superstars and all that stuff, like all the shows that came on TV, and then I'd go rent pay-per-views like later, like after they had already come out, because once they came to the video stores, I'd go watch those. Every time I went to the video store, I'd always rent some kind of wrestling something or other.
Yeah.
And I had never even the only thing I had of Bruiser Brody was somebody got me. I was probably like 4 or 5, and somebody got me this wrestling tape called Rock and Roll Wrestling, and it was out of Memphis, and it was all just like music videos, just featuring like a few wrestlers, and it's really like super cheesy 80s, but it's really awesome at the same time. Like I still watch it and love it. Like they finally put it up on YouTube so I can watch it. I don't have a VCR anymore. So, but that's how I found Bruiser Brody, because he's like one of the first music videos on there. I was like, whoa, that guy's freaking insane. And it was all just, highlights of him booting people in the face and dropping his big knee drop. And just that whole video had me hooked. So, I mean, I mainly watched WWF, but I mean, I knew there was other wrestling out there. I just didn't really have as much access to it.
Okay, yeah. Do you know what's scary, by the way? There are listeners right now, when they listen to this episode, that don't have a clue what a VCR is or a videotape store.
I'm sorry.
Oh, so did it cut off then? You. Oh, no, sorry. I was saying, do you know what's funny? I think we might be delayed at the moment, but I was just saying, do you know what's funny? There are listeners that do not have a clue what a VCR is or a videotape store. I myself, I grew up on the VHSs, and that's how I discovered wrestling. And I would borrow them off my brother or Blockbusters, but there are listeners that are young enough that just no idea what we're talking about. But no, that's cool, man. So you was generally a WWF guy.
I'm showing my age.
No, that's cool, man. That's cool. You were actually trained by UFC Hall of Famer and wrestling legend Dan Severn. That's fucking awesome. Which wrestling school did you go to?
I was. Thank you. It was called Michigan Sports Camps, is what he had it called. It was this old, dirty building behind his house, which was the training facility. I wouldn't necessarily say it was like dirty. It just like was an older building. He had, there was 2 wrestling rings there. They had a bunch of it looked like a giant, like in high school, like the wrestling rooms where all the walls are padded and there's like wrestling mats on the floor. When you first walk in, it's like that. And
that must have been quite intimidating.
Wall, like wrestling mats, and then there's a ring in the one corner. And then you go in the other room and there's like this like prehistoric weight equipment in there. Like just like raw, like dirty gym. And then you go in this other room and there's like a boxing ring, and then there's like punching bags and all that stuff like hanging up in there. And then on the floor in there is like the infamous blue mat that we just called it a blue mat. It's just this blue wrestling mat, and it's like probably like 16 by 16. So that was pretty much the training facility. He was the main trainer. He had to approve everything.
Mm-hmm.
My other trainer, the other main trainer there was Josh Abercrombie or Josh Raymond. And yeah, so that was that. It was all like super dojo style. You had to take your shoes off before you went in, and in order to even get into the actual wrestling ring, there was, like what I said, the blue mats. You had to pass like 5 blue mat matches. And basically what that is it couldn't be longer. It had to be like at least 5 minutes, no longer than 10. And it had to, basically be a passable match. And Dan would sit in there and give like the final approval, like if it was a passable match or not. That was before you could even get into the wrestling ring. We learned how to do all our, learned how to bump and fall and do everything on just the regular wrestling mats before we could even get in the ring.
Bloody hell. Sounds like, don't get me wrong, it sounds rewarding, but it sounds a lot more stricter than other wrestling schools. Sort of you have to want it to really sort of, become a wrestler. What were some of the other biggest challenges that you had to encounter at the wrestling school?
At the
dojo.
wrestling school?
Yeah.
I trained for it was probably about 8 months, I want to say, before I could get in the ring. I'd go there twice a week. It was about an hour away from my house. So just driving all that time. It was back in 2006 when I started training. And that was right around the time that gas prices were really jacked up high. So that was a little bit of a challenge to make sure I got up there. But I went, twice a week, every week for, 8 months. And then I finally was able to get in the ring. And that was just, Dan had to be there to approve the matches. So I couldn't always have like a blue mat match. I actually only, not to like brag on myself, but I actually only failed like one. So I had 6 blue mat matches.
Jesus. No, that's cool, man. That's I've never heard that sort of style of training before. So it's always good to hear a different story of how someone sort of, learn the craft.
I wrestled this guy Money Mike. He was this hilarious dude. But his gimmick was he was just always like hustling and trying to make money or whatever. But I went to give him the backbreaker that Randy Orton does, where the guy, he like grabs his head and he drapes him across his back.
Yeah.
I went to give him that and he spiked himself on his head. So that's what ultimately made me like fail the match, because they said not to do stuff you don't know how to do.
But the guy ended up spiking himself.
Yeah, he did it.
Oh, bloody hell.
That's what got it. Other than that, I mean, that was all really challenges of it. I loved going there. I kept going there until I got injured pretty early in my career. I tore my patellar tendon. It'd probably been a little bit over a year after I started. I tore my patellar tendon, so that set me back. Yeah.
Jesus, man. And that early in your career as well, to sort of have an injury, like you probably don't necessarily think about it. But I was just going to say, like, in terms of an injury that early on in your career, you probably may think you're sort of, untouchable, that this can't happen to you until later on, but that would happen to you. What have been some of the other worst injuries that you have suffered in wrestling?
I went up to my trainer's like, hey, we're going to go to this show on Saturday. So I'm going to age myself again. But this is before Facebook. Okay. MySpace was a thing. And I mean, that was kind of like a good way to get bookings, but it hadn't really taken off yet.
Yeah.
So basically everything was all word of mouth, and it was meeting people and, getting people's phone numbers and, all that. So basically my trainer's like, Josh Abercrombie, he's like, we're going to go up to this show or whatever on Saturday. He's like, meet us up at the training facility and then come up to my house. I had to pick up another guy. So I went up to his house. He lives about 2 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
So we get there and he's like, oh yeah, we're going to go do this to whatever. Like, I don't know. We went to like this festival thing or whatever. I don't know. That's irrelevant. But so then we left to go to the show. So we're driving and it's like taking forever. He's like, oh no, it's not too far. It's not too far. It's not too far. So finally we get there like 4.5 hours later. It's like all the way up. Like, I don't know how, well, you're probably not familiar with like Michigan because I was in Indiana. And it's like all the way up, like almost to the top of Michigan. So we go there and me and the guy I picked up, we had a tag team match with some other guys that were pretty new. It was Mr. Chainsaw Pro Wrestling is what it was.
Love the name.
And it's a crazy name. It's just like all the way up in like the middle of nowhere in Michigan. It's like a hockey town, but they put on pretty good shows. They bring in a bunch of people. I'm trying to think, like Jimmy Jacobs managed us on that show as a tag team. Like Zach Gowen was on the show. I'm trying to think who else was on the show. There's a bunch of people. They book all kinds of people. So we get in this match and we're wrestling and I go to body slam this guy and I slam him. And then I don't know if there was like something wrong with the ring, but like when my knee hit, like I just felt something really weird and painful and I couldn't like stand up. I kind of fell down and couldn't stand up and I couldn't straighten my leg was the weird thing. And then so I, limped off and went to the hospital and they told me that I tore my patellar tendon. So that was a good 8 months before I came back. And then a year and a half later, I gave a dude a inverted atomic drop and tore my other one.
Oh, I got the worst luck.
I know, right? So that happened. So now I finally recovered from that. My knees are great now. They both got fixed. And I mean, that was a long time ago now.
I mean, just to come back from one, like that's in a way like a miracle, but to have it twice in sort of a short space of time, yeah. Okay, now, man, I do applaud you. And
it's such a rare injury too. Thank you. It's such a rare injury too. Like it's not a normal thing for people to tear that. Like, so that was whatever. But I mean, I came back. I mean, I've had other little injuries. Nothing that really sidelined me. I hurt my tailbone or my tailbone. I hurt my tailbone really bad at IWA Mid-South. I got pushed off a ladder and there was, I think, like 8 people in the match. So there was like 7 other dudes on the floor and I got pushed off the ladder and missed all of them, but like 1.5. And I landed like hips first. And I don't know if I broke my tailbone or just bruised it really bad, but that was pretty painful. Luckily, I didn't have any shows for like a few weeks. So I just kind of suffered through that. Let's see, I tore I don't know if I tore it or I never went to the doctor for it. My tricep, a guy like threw me off the top rope and I landed really weird on my arm and I had this giant bruise on my tricep and it hurt really bad. So I think I don't know if I tore it or if it was just like, I mean, that's really everything that's really significant. I mean, everything hurts. Lots of aches and pains and bumps and bruises. And I'm always in pain.
There's a reason why I sit here and talk to listeners as opposed to do what you do. But I have the most up respect for you guys, honestly. But yeah, I'll just sit here.
I appreciate it.
I
appreciate it.
Brushed over, by the way. I was going to ask. Oh, sorry, mate. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Ask away.
I was just going to ask because I think I basically brushed over, and I always like to ask my guests this because you hear different stories. But I actually want to ask about your official debut in wrestling, and I just want to ask, basically, do you remember the experience? Was it a good experience? Did you have any friends or family? That I can tell just by the smile right away. There's going to be something interesting said.
Well, I did wrestle once before I went to Dan Severn school. This isn't the match I'm going to talk about for my actual debut, but this is pretty funny in itself, I think. I started training when I first got out of high school, and with it was just kind of like a local guy that was a couple towns away. A buddy of mine at school, he was kind of training to wrestle, and he got me hooked up with him or whatever. So he was kind of training me. I went to probably like 4 training sessions, and then they had like a little show. There was 2 paying fans. I didn't have like real wrestling gear. I had like some cool like silver. I thought they were really cool anyways. I had like these cool like silver Adidas tearaway pants.
Oh, I remember them. Oh, they were so bad.
They were so cool, man. The silver ones, badass.
Oh, I used to have them. Like not the
and then I had a
style. I used to love them as a kid.
and then I had this. What I thought, this is me being 18, whatever. I had this really cool like Punisher T-shirt, and I was like, yeah, I look like a badass. I look like shit. Anyways, so we go out there and just have this little match. Like I didn't really do anything. There was probably like 2 paying fans there. So that was like my first like actual like official wrestling match, but I wouldn't really consider that like my first official wrestling match, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you, man. I get you.
So I did this stupid thing where the guy came down on the apron, or I went and attacked the guy on the apron, and then he went to give me a close from busting my head on the steps. Because I got overzealous, and I was like, I'm going to be cool and bump on the floor in front of 2 people. And I almost ended my career right here hitting my head on the steps. I'm a lot smarter now. But my first actual match was at Price of Glory Wrestling. It was the wrestling promotion that was ran at my aunt's facility. The one guy that kind of ran the school, he'd put on a show like once a month on Sundays. And Jimmy Jacobs was my manager there also. And I was going to wrestle this guy they called him Firecracker. Super like weird dude. I don't know. He's really hard to describe. He's like the skinny guy. Like he's not.
Fitting the name says it all.
He's never really been that good. I hate to I'm not trying to be a dick, but like he knows, whatever. He'll never listen to this. I don't even know what happened to him. But he's just a weird kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, he paid to train there, so they trained him. He's not as bad as some of other people that I've wrestled, honestly. But so I wrestled him, and they were dubbing it that Jimmy Jacobs put it over as it's going to be the match of the century. It's going to be the best wrestling match. Like, I forget his promo. It was something about like, you've seen Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat, but you haven't seen anything until this or something. And it was just like, it was basically just me squashing him. But that was basically my first match. And then everybody made fun of me because that was my first match with him.
Firecracker. Match of the century. I've got the clip sorted already, literally. Idol Heinze talks about Firecracker.
It's on YouTube somewhere if you want to. It's on YouTube. Look for it. I'm
going to be looking for that. I mean, and I will message you on Twitter once I've watched it. Be like, Firecracker.
I even let him do like this cool. Do what? I'm sorry.
I'm going to literally search on YouTube, message you on Twitter after I found it, and put hashtag Firecracker.
You should.
People in the comments, we want Firecracker.
He even gave me like a cool cross body off the top rope, like when I was on the floor.
Yeah.
And then it was all bad news for him after that. But yeah.
No, that's cool, man. That's cool. One person I wrestled to talk to you about. Oh, sorry, mate. I actually think there might be a delay at the moment. No. If you talk about who's going to wrestle, I think at the moment, I think there is a delay at the moment between us. So I think sometimes when I'm going to say something, but I think it hasn't got to you just yet whilst you're talking. So I don't think I'm being rude. I think there's a delay. I don't actually know what
You're fine.
How many seconds it is, but I'll let you continue. You can say you've also wrestled. I'm not going to cut.
Oh no, I was just going to say I wrestled a lot of matches there.
Yeah.
I wrestled a lot of matches there. That was mainly where I wrestled. I'd pick up some other shows here and there. It was hard to find places to go back then. You just had to get word of mouth, hop in the car with people and go. Like it was a lot harder.
No, sweet, man. One person I did want to speak about is Kongo, who I know you've wrestled, and I'm a big fan of his work. And I spoke to someone else about him before. Really, no, I can't remember his name now. That's going to bug me. But anyway, I just want to ask you, because you've been in the ring with him, what's he like to work with?
It's great. It's great. I mean, I've gone to like he has a trading school. I've gone to his training school quite a bit. He's really good. I mean, he's big and he hits hard, and you know, I've wrestled him.
Yeah.
I've wrestled him a couple times. Actually, at Price of Glory, what I was telling you about, me and him were we were like the longest reigning, or the longest consecutive. What is it, like the longest consecutive days of holding the tag titles there?
Mm-hmm.
It was like 400 and some days or something. And then that's when I blew out my knee, and nobody ever beat us for the belts. But yeah, so he's always a pleasure to work with. I do it anytime.
Now, wicked, man. I actually believe you have a Virgil story. I heard you on another podcast before. Virgil, the WWF superstar. So I'm obsessed with Virgil. Lonely Virgil. A lot of wrestling fans might know.
I love Virgil.
Also, have you just seen what he did today?
No.
Okay. Once you finish this interview, go on Twitter and search Virgil. What he's done is he set up his merch table. You know, with the Hollywood, you know, when they get like the Hollywood the signs on the pavement.
Mm-hmm.
He set up a merch table on Vince McMahon's one with all his 8x10s, and fair play. It's great marketing, I think it is. But I think now he knows that he's a gimmick and he's just milking it now. But it's brilliant. I love it. But I want to hear it from someone that's actually experienced Virgil in the wrestling world.
I've ran into Virgil a few times.
Oh man, you got to tell.
when I was in the Army, I was in Korea, and there was like a USO wrestling show, and Virgil was on it, and that was when I first ran into him.
Oh, cool, man.
And he wrestled this little skinny doink. This is the most random people on the show. Like Norman Smiley was on the show. Virgil, Disco Inferno was on the show. Like, this is random.
This sounds awesome.
I was trying to think who else like is somebody that you would know that was on there, but yeah,
Disco Inferno, Norman Smiley, Fake Doink, and Virgil. And watched during the war. That's quality, man. Oh man, is this on YouTube?
No, I don't think so. It was just a little like USO show. But that's when I first met Norman Smiley too, and I told him that I had been training to be a wrestler, and he gave me like the test with the worker's handshake and all that or whatever. I didn't really talk to Virgil then, and I ran into Virgil again. I randomly ran it because I used to live in Maryland, and there was this big giant mall whenever I was in the Army too. And I was walking down the hall in the mall, and I ran right into Virgil. And I was like, oh, hey, what's up? You're Virgil, whatever. Like, we met like back in Korea or whatever. He didn't remember, of course. Whatever. So then I don't remember. I remember some of the conversation he was going on about how like him and Tito Ortiz were boys. And he just went into like this spiel about like how to knock people out by kneeing them in the head. And then he was talking about how like whoever owns the mall like pays him so much money to sit there all day and sign autographs and this and that. So then I ran into him again at a show here locally, and I had these little trading cards, and I was like, I was selling them for like $1, and I was like, I'm gonna go try to sell Virgil my trading card just because I can say, hey, Virgil brought one of my trading cards. So I go over there and I'm like, hey, what's up, Virgil? Whatever. I'd say hi and this and that. And I'm like, hey, man, I was like, I got these really cool trading cards. You should just buy one for $1 just to make me happy. And then he went into this whole spiel about, well, who are you? And I was like, you know, and then he's like, yeah, who are you? He's like, come talk to me when you're somebody. He's like, I sold out Madison Square Garden when I was 19 years old. He's like, come back and try to sell me something when you're somebody.
See, this is a shame because this is just him being an absolute prick. Yeah. I bet part of you was like, you do realize I can actually knock you like the fuck out.
Right. So that's what he told me. That was his story. He told me he sold out Madison Square Garden when he was 19 years old. Forget the supporting cast, you know, like Hogan and Andre,
and Ted,
DiBiase. They all don't matter. It was all Virgil, man.
It was Virgil, man. It was Virgil, and
I don't mind the guy though. Like I think he's
deluded.
He's Virgil.
Like it's just I had to get these stories, but because I only heard briefly, the last bit. I think I didn't hear it properly, but now that I've got these stories on my podcast, I'm happy. Well, thank you. I'm joking. If you've got more Virgil stories, I can sit here all evening.
Somebody, I forget who it is, they had $1 million belt.
Yeah.
This is kind of Virgil being a prick again. But somebody had $1 million belt and they were meeting Ted DiBiase. And he was having like Ted DiBiase sign it and he's going to get a picture with him. So after Ted signs it, Virgil walks up and signs the belt and jumps in their picture. Like, just signs this dude's belt, didn't even ask, he just walked over, hey, signed his belt, jumped in the picture. I think that's about all the Virgil stories, but
man, it's just strange. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm fascinated by him, but I'll be honest, if I had to experience it in a meet and greet as a fan, and he did half the stuff he does to fans and loan of Virgil, I probably would tell him to F off by the end of it. And I think, okay, it's actually not as cute as I think it is, but because I've never actually met him, and I hear the stories, and I'm just fascinated by him. But I think if I actually experienced myself, I probably wouldn't slap him.
Maybe. He's I think he carries around like his whole bank account in his pocket because he always has like a fat wad of cash. So he'd be the guy to rob if you're gonna, if you are gonna smack him and jack somebody, rob Virgil.
We are joking, by the way.
I want to wrestle Virgil.
Mate, you should get that streamed on Fight TV or something.
I want to wrestle Virgil.
Whoever can organize it.
Book Idol Heinze against Virgil.
I need to see this. I'll promote it. I'll plug the fuck out of it. I will literally, please, promoters. There is a promoter out there right now that has listened to this episode. Book Virgil against Idol Heinze, please. Thank you.
I mean, I'll wrestle anybody too. So I'll wrestle anybody, but especially Virgil.
Oh, cool, man, cool. I've got a few more questions. Sorry, so the Virgil thing.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Brilliant, man. Because I think I started following you like early in the year, and I saw you look, and I, browsed through you on YouTube, and think you've got like a really cool look. You stand out, especially in this day and age as well, where I think a lot of wrestlers don't necessarily worry about the sort of how they look. Sometimes it's all about what they do in the ring in terms of the high fly and the spots, which is great, but I think everyone does it. I want you, if you can, to explain to the listeners who exactly is Idol Heinze as a wrestler.
Perfect. 15 years since 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time, I tried to play by the rules, play nicey nice.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to do what I was supposed to do. And all it's really gotten me is bumps, bruises, medical bills, and I'm over it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling is an abusive relationship. It beats me down, physically and mentally. It takes and takes from me, and I love it so much I can't leave it. So I'm at the point in my career that I'm ready to start taking back. I'm going to take back everything that I feel that wrestling owes me. People say wrestling doesn't owe you anything. That's bullshit. It owes me everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting for the one booking, the one opportunity that just puts me out there to where I can, make a real name for myself and everybody knows who I am. I mean, that's where I went to, that's why I've become the man who sold the world, because I've given up so much for wrestling. I've basically given up, the world, and I'm done. I'm ready to do something and take everything back. So if there's promoters or anybody out there listening, I'm just waiting for an opportunity.
I felt every word that you just said there. And I know you tweeted, when you tweeted when I advertised this episode, that you had something to say, and I felt like you addressed your point. And I, not just listeners, but myself, I feel like there is a man who sold the world, as you just said, and explained why. And obviously, I just hope once after you've given so much, you can finally take it back. So that's going to happen. As we wind down this interview, so I felt that was proper.
Thank you. I mean it.
Oh no, I'm not denying it at all, man.
I mean it.
I felt that, man. I felt
that's one thing that's gotten me. People. One of my problems with people these days is a lot of people can't be honest. A lot of people can't take criticism. Like, just be honest. And a lot of people, I think there's a lot of people that don't like me because I'm so honest. Like, I'll tell you what I think. Do to your face instead of going and telling everybody else behind your back. I'm not really talking about anything specific or any certain instance,
just general. Yeah.
Just in general, like, just be honest. And I mean, I'm just being honest.
No, I respect that.
That makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. I feel like that is a lost art. And I feel, especially in 2021 and like the internet wrestling community, like no one can take criticism anymore. I mean, if you're being a dickhead, you're being a dickhead. But like, if you're just saying, I did like this, and you explain why, they will still block you. Like, it's just, sorry, that this is my opinion, and I'm giving you a reason why I don't like it and what can be improved. But
if somebody has a problem with you and they don't tell you, how can you fix it?
Yeah.
If you know, even just like it goes to wrestling work too. Like if you're doing something that's not good or whatever, and then you come to the back and everybody's like, "Oh, good match, good match, good match." No, I want to know what I did wrong. I can take criticism. Like, I can't get better if you don't tell me what I did wrong.
Yeah, you need to learn from your mistakes.
That's one thing wrestling's missing from, like, when I first started. Like, now I mean, there are some shows when there's some like veterans that I respect, and I'll ask like, "Hey, what'd you think?" or whatever. But I used to come back through the curtain and they'd be like, "Here, try this, this, and this," and they tell me what I did wrong. It's just people have a hard time taking criticism these days. But
yeah, man, that's true. I'm gonna have one or two more last questions.
Yeah,
but I feel like I'm gonna get the answer already. But I'm gonna ask it anyway. But I'm gonna mix it. Do you have any dream opponents? And I'm gonna say / because I feel like Bruiser Brody might be one of the answers. But is there anyone in wrestling at the moment that you've got your eye on that you really want to face and fuck up? You know, so I get into wrestling a bit.
There's a guy that's just starting to get out a little bit. His name's Justin Kyle. I want to fight him. I mean, I want to fight everybody. I just want to have a stage to, prove myself. I'm just waiting for that opportunity to come. Like, I just haven't gotten that opportunity. Who else? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I really want to fight Jake something. If you go back to the older matches in Price of Glory, it was when he first was starting out. He was in a tag team, and me and Kongo Kong, who was Osiris then, we wrestled him back then. I would like to wrestle him again now. There's a lot of guys that I wrestled when they were young and they were just starting out, and now they're, really good, and they're signed to, they're actually signed to contracts and all that. I would like to wrestle them again. Like, I've been in matches with Myron Reed. Like, I'd like to wrestle him. I wrestled Calvin Tankman at IWA Mid-South like 6 months into him starting. Who else? I'm trying to think of. Wrestled Braden Lee. Just all those young guys that were super green when I wrestled them. Like, I want to wrestle them now. I think we could do some good stuff.
Oh, awesome, mate. Just because I have spoken to one other wrestler about it, and I think just because you mentioned it earlier, just before I officially go, because I can imagine it would be quite interesting for the listeners to hear about. I just wanted to ask, how long were you in the army for, if you don't mind me asking? Just because I spoke to Chili Willy about his time as well, and I did ask if it was right to speak about it. I mean, if you don't want to speak about it, that's not a problem at all, mate.
No, I'm an open book. I got out of high school when I was 18. Obviously, I went in the army when I was 18, and then I got out. I was active duty for 4 years, and then I went into the reserves for like another 5, so it was about 9 years.
Yes, I respect that, mate. Just anyone that's sort of.
As soon as I went into the army when I was 18, I was like, screw this. I can't wait for my 4 years to be done. I want to wrestle. So as soon as I got off active duty, that was the first thing that I was looking to do, was to find a wrestling school. Like, I was talking to different ones. I was emailing Lance Storm back and forth about his school. And then I happened to go to a MMA fight, and I ran into Dan Severn, and I started talking to him, and then I found out that he had a wrestling school too. So then that was only an hour away instead of all the way, across the country in Calgary.
Would you say that it was seeing Virgil whilst you were in the army that inspired you to become the wrestler that you are today?
No. I wanted to be a wrestler way before Virgil, man.
That's awesome. Sorry, man. I had to get that in.
Actually, you know what? I used to go to every wrestling show that would come to town, like every WWF show. I think out of like my whole childhood, there was maybe like one or two that I missed. And I remember when Virgil just became a good guy and he was doing his feud with $1 Million Man. He came around and he clapped my hand, and then I got this god awful smell of body odor. I was like, Virgil, deodorant, bro. I actually really remember that.
That's wicked, man. I remember like it was, how do you spell man? Virgil. Mate, I love old school wrestling, man. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, man. Honestly,
I appreciate it.
Really enjoyed today's episode. It's been actually a bit longer than I expected, but I've had a good laugh. I've generally cracked up like a schoolgirl. But you know, I like to make the podcast entertaining. As I said to you privately, I'm quite laid back. I don't try to take it too seriously. We got over the delay. I think initially at the beginning there was a bit of a delay, but we overcame it, and I think it's been a good episode. Hello, everyone. I've got a special message for my next guest.
I'm the man who sold the world Idol Heinze, and I'm going to be on the What You Call It podcast.
Yeah, I heard. So what would you say is next for you?
The next show of significance I have right now it's called Chicagoland Wrestling. And it's October 16th. They have it's basically like TV studio wrestling. I haven't got to work there yet. I was supposed to work there on the 21st, but it actually got canceled due to COVID, and I had my shoulder issue anyways. But yeah, I'm supposed to go back there October 16th. They're on Fight TV and Amazon Prime, I believe.
Oh, awesome, man. Okay,
that's the biggest place of significance I have right now. I'm always looking for something. I'm always down as long as it's, economically makes sense for me.
No, wicked, mate. And where can the fans, or even the promoters that maybe listen to this, where can everyone find you on social media?
My Facebook's Idol Heinze. My Twitter's at Idol Heinze. My Instagram's at Idol Heinze. And what else do you want?
Pro wrestling tees?
Yeah, I got a pro wrestling tees. I guess just search Idol Heinze in the thing. If you don't like me, somebody thought it was funny to put an Idol Heinze sucks shirt on there. So go ahead and buy that one up.
Do you get the money though from that? If someone buys an Idol Heinze sucks t-shirt?
Yeah.
Go on.
I mean, it's on my store.
I love it. Did the Dreamcatcher designs?
If you do, if you do want to book me or whatever, just DM me. I'm really easy to get a hold of.
Nah, sweet, man. I said like.
What did you ask me now? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, sorry. I was going to say, I forgot about the delay. So what I was going to ask is the Dreamcatcher designs on your Pro Wrestling Tee store. Was that designed by you?
Uh-huh.
Because I know you do graphics designs as well. Well, I don't know if you still do, but I know you did before.
Yeah, I have a bachelor's degree in graphic design from Indiana University.
Nice.
So I do all my own stuff. I need to really design some cool stuff to put on there since you can print any colors.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the problems with t-shirts is it costs so much money to print more than one color most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But they have the digital printer or whatever. So I need to come up with some really cool designs to put on there. I'm busy, but yeah, check it out.
Yeah. Nah, that's cool, man. I'm going to put all of the details in the description. So in case the fans didn't quite catch it, even though it's relatively quite easy, what you said, how to find you, but I'll put it in the description anyway. I want to thank you for coming on today's episode. It's been an absolute blast. I've cracked up. I've learned about I'm going to try that one again. I've learned more about you today, and I've stumbled along this outro, which is a real bad and shame because it's been a fun episode. But whatever. Right. There's going to be more episodes of What You Call It podcast coming out very soon. But for now, I want everyone to take care and have a great fucking weekend.
The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network. found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com.